This town is about the facade of places like LA being considered a mecca for people to go to live the dream and be successful and all of that. You end up working with people who tell you how great you are at everything all the time, and it's always seemed disingenuous to me. But then as soon as you get to a point where you can't make any money anymore, or you get too old to be on television, then that's the end of you. So it's about the lie. It's about how it's supposed to be thought of as being all sun and smiles, but really it's quite cheap and tawdry, looked at from a certain point of view. Puppet Boy is a metaphor song. It's a sort of double metaphor song, because there's the obvious one of a puppet whose strings are being pulled by somebody else. That becomes a metaphor for living a life based on a lie that you told before, having to keep up that image of doing that. It's about living a lie. Perhaps It's Time is about, if you take that idea of the classical distinction between progressives and conservatives as being, conservatives are the ones who look at the society we have and see that it's the best one we've had in history and want to keep it that way. They don't want to ruin it, so they don't want to change too much. And the progressives think it could be better than it is, so they push for change. So this song's really, although both of those points are extraordinarily good ones, this is a bit of an indulgence of my progressive side on it, particularly as a personal call to action rather than a political movement. The Price of Admission, the title track, is named for the idea that as a society we seem to put more stock in appearing right than actually seeking the truth. So the price of admission is the social price that you pay for admitting that you're wrong about something. If you have a conversation with someone and they prove you wrong about something, then it's the most advantageous thing for everybody involved is for you to admit where you're wrong, and society would work a lot better if everyone went like that, but unfortunately that's not the way the world works. He Said, She Said's a bit of a strange one. I wanted it to sound like it was off the Revolver album, which of course it doesn't, but lyrically it's about the idea of, same as with most of the rest of the album, it's about people talking past each other. So there's very few lyrics in it, and then the second half of it's just musical onomatopoeia as a guitar solo representing people talking over each other and past each other. The Lonely Iron Man is an extremely hard song to explain in 30 seconds, but I'll give it a go. I had an idea in my head of a man, an astronaut, crash landing on another planet and being marooned there with no other people. And I thought, how much worse would that be if you weren't likely to die soon, so it became a robot. So the song is sort of a sound collage of this robot realizing that he can't fix his ship and leave. Tear Off Your Own Head is a cover of an Elvis Costello song by the same name, which I think the Bangles had more success with than he did. They both have very different versions of it. I changed a couple of lyrics in there, but otherwise it's basically pretty straight. I just wanted to do something that showcased some vocal harmonies, really. I actually recorded two Elvis Costello songs to potentially go on this album, this one and Lipstick Vogue from this year's Model album. I ended up going with this one because it's a less well-known song, but you can find the Lipstick Vogue one for free on the internet. It's on my YouTube channel and it's on my Reverb Nation account if you're interested. I don't particularly like doing covers, so it's really strange that I ended up putting two of them on this album when I've never done one before. So My Back Pages is a Bob Dylan song, covered by quite a few people. This version that I've got on here is a bit based on the version that he did at the Bob Dylan 30th anniversary concert with George Harrison, Tom Petty, Neil Young, Eric Clapton, etc. And really it only ended up on here because there's an excellent Neil Young solo that I wanted to be able to play live, so it's note for note in the middle of the song is a Neil Young guitar solo. There's a solo of mine at the end as well, but it's not as good. Neil's is the good one. Hung from the Family Tree is a song basically about lying to yourself about what's good for you even though you know it's not. And it's probably worth mentioning that the title of the track comes from a song from the album that Elvis Costello did with the Brodsky Quartet. I sort of borrowed that. Long Way Down started with, I bought a flanger pedal for my guitar, and that first riff that you hear in the song came from that. I played it straight away as soon as I plugged the pedal in for the first time, and then the whole of the rest of the song just fell out of that, and it was all done, recorded, finished, mixed, mastered, as it is on the album within, I don't know, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Very, very quick, and it's one of my favourite ones on the album, so I don't know what that tells you about the amount of effort that I put into the other songs. Almost Perfect is one of the oldest songs that I ever wrote. It's about 8 years old, I think. Definitely one of the first couple. And it hasn't changed at all in that time. I added a guitar solo to it for this album, but nothing else has changed at all. Lyrically, it's very simple. It's just about deluding yourself. So a very good fit for this album. My Slow Fall is one of the old songs on the album. All the music came first for this one, and then the music reminded me, I did the guitar parts in it, and the guitar parts reminded me of Pete Townshend's guitar part in Slow Burn by David Bowie. So the title of this song came from that, and then that's where the lyrics came from as well, from wanting to keep that title. Circles seemed like the most peaceful track and the obvious way to end the album because of how the song finishes. And but basically when I wrote it, it was me trying to sound like mid-70s Pete Townsend, but without the Who behind him. So anyone who's familiar with his sound will notice the obvious hallmarks in that, these sweet harmony vocals and arpeggiated guitars.